Welcome to Scrum Masters Elite _UK. In-depth analysis, lessons from professional sports. Sign up now.
What impressed me the most is the way experts like Wilson and Donald analyze each position and each player with careful consideration. I realized that in professional sports, there is no room for pure sentiment. For example, Billy Proctor being mentioned as a very sharp player in a few recent matches shows that short-term form can create major opportunities. However, this also means that if a player cannot maintain consistency, they can be replaced. I can clearly feel the harsh reality here. You can shine today, but tomorrow you still have to prove yourself all over again. Looking at the case of Quinn Tupaea, I see a different perspective: positional fit. Personally, I think life is similar in that being talented doesn't automatically mean you will be chosen. You also have to be in the right place at the right time. Tupaea may be a good player, but not playing regularly in the number 13 position has cost him a competitive advantage. This made me reflect on myself. Am I putting myself in the right position to fully utilize my abilities? One bright spot I really appreciate is the return of Caleb Clarke and Caleb Tangitau.
I sense a positive message here. Comebacks always have value. Not everyone can maintain peak performance continuously, but those who can return after challenges often bring a stronger version of themselves. This reminds me of difficult periods in personal life. Sometimes failure is not the end but a stepping stone to an even more impressive comeback. When Donald mentioned Cam Roigard and especially Beauden Barrett, I clearly saw the role of individuals with significant influence. A player can decide the outcome of a match not only through skill but also through courage and experience. I realized that in any field, there are always people who make a difference. They not only do the job well but also elevate the entire team. This makes me think about personal development, not just to complete tasks but to become someone who can create greater value for those around them. The case of Jordie Barrett brings a particularly special feeling for me. His taking his game to another level shows that progress has no limits.
I believe this is clear evidence that even at the top, people can still develop further if they continue to strive. This is a major lesson for me: never become complacent with what I have achieved. Looking at specific players like Will Jordan, Caleb Clarke, and Beauden Barrett, along with impressive stats on appearances and scoring, I realize an important point: achievements are the result of a long-term process. No success comes randomly. Those numbers are proof of perseverance, discipline, and a never-give-up spirit. I ask myself whether I have been persistent enough with my own goals. In the midfield, Luke Jacobson being selected despite not always playing in his preferred position made me appreciate the value of versatility. In life, we are not always able to do what we are familiar with, but if we can adapt and still perform well, that is what makes the difference. I learned that adaptability is sometimes just as important as expertise. Christian Lio-Willie Devan Flanders were mentioned as players progressing very well. I see them as images of people quietly developing. They may not be big stars yet, but they are heading in the right direction. This made me realize that not everyone needs to shine immediately. Sometimes gradual progress is the most valuable.
In the front line, choices like Tammy T. Williams, Samisoni Taukeaho, or Fletcher Newell show extremely fierce competition. I am particularly impressed by the way experts have to weigh so many quality names. This made me realize a reality: in a highly competitive environment, being left out does not mean you're not good, it simply means someone else is better suited at that moment. I reflected on the fact that big stars like Ardie Savea or Scott Barrett are not in the starting lineup. This is clear evidence that reputation does not guarantee a position. I see this as a very practical lesson: no matter how brilliant the past was, it cannot replace current form. It reminds me to always strive in the present instead of relying on past achievements. I drew many profound lessons for myself. First, continuous effort is indispensable. There is no comfort zone in a competitive environment. Second, fit and timing are as important as ability. Third, failure or being left out is not the end, but an opportunity to reflect and improve. I also think we should have a fairer and deeper perspective. Behind every decision to select or drop someone, there are many complex factors. A player not being chosen does not mean they are not good. I believe that if fans understand this, they will have greater respect for both those selected and those not selected.
Thank you for following. Strive with focus, work diligently, and keep improving every day.